Greetings, friends, fellow alchemists. Welcome back to the October Horror Movie Mega Marathon. Welcome back, guys. I hope you're enjoying the Horror Movie Mega Marathon as much as we are. You know the deal. 31 days, 31 pods here on the Film Alchemist podcast. I'm your host, Josh Griffey, here for a brief introduction before we start today's awesome episode. You guys know the deal. Every single day, we give you a new podcast in October because we love it. This is our big time of the year, man. This is our celebration of all that is horror cinema. So thank you guys for being here with us every day. I know it's a lot. If you want to make sure you get every episode this month, though, you got to go over to our show and support us on Patreon. That's right, patreon.com/filmalchemistpod. Guys, it's the best way to help support the show. Help us grow the show. We appreciate that a ton. It's also a cool way for you guys to have some authorship over the show. We have a great community over there who gets to vote on the movies that go into the Patreon exclusive library, including 2 new horror movies this month and a feature-length commentary. We have Tales from the Crypt miniseries. We have all kinds of fun stuff over on Patreon, putting in a lot of effort over there to make sure that that's worth the support that our friends and patrons are kind enough to give us. So if you want every movie, you want those extra 3 movies, so go to patreon.com/filmalchemistpod, support the show, help out your guys here, please, and hopefully you will find and unleash a trove of treasures that you'll be glad you found. So thank you guys in advance. Thank you, patrons, for all the support. You know you mean the world to us. Email the show, filmalchemistpod@gmail.com. Watch the show. YouTube. It's called Film Alchemist. That's the channel you can subscribe to. You can watch some of the horror movies and content that me and my friends, including Alex now, are making over at misfitparade.net. That's a fun place to see all of the fun stuff we're working on. We have some big stuff coming up that you're going to want to stay abreast of, so go check that out. Also, make sure this month especially, you're doing your 5-star ratings and reviews. Help us beat this algorithm and blow this show up. But also another way you can help us do that that's free and easy, reach out to a movie-loving friend, especially a horror movie-loving friend, right? Reach out, let them know what we're working on, and invite them to come to the fold, and me and Alex will take it from there. My God, I'm shaking the whole table. I'm so excited to get new listeners. So yeah, thank you guys from the bottom of our hearts for all the support. We've seen a ton of you doing a ton to support the show this October. It means the world to us that you guys support us during this big push we do every year. So thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. You're here to listen to a horror movie. And today we have a really fun one. This is one of my favorite episodes we've done in a while. Joined again by our dear friend, comic book artist extraordinaire, man extraordinaire, kind of a man about town, right? A real raconteur, that Jay Rollins. So Jay Rollins was kind enough to join us. You guys who have heard him on the October Mega Marathon before, you should remember Jay. If you haven't listened to it yet, you should go back. Earlier this year, we did Damn Dirty April and covered the entire Planet of the Apes franchise in total. Some of those again on patreon.com/filmalchemistpod. You know, you gotta do the dollar sign. But Jay was kind enough to join us again. I love that Jay comes in high energy. He's always really excited to talk. He always has ideas about the next giant curations he wants to do and record with us. And honestly, we love talking to Jay so much. That is heavenly for us. We love talking to Jay. He has great energy. He's super funny, very insightful, interesting guy. Just one of the great gifts of the show is that we have Jay now. We have a Jay. You might have an army. We have a Jay. And so Jay chose The Frighteners, a movie that he loved as a child. I loved young. Alex gets to see for the first time. And we talk about this kind of perfect niche movie. It's one of the best balancing of kind of horror and comedy. It's an incredible movie that takes some unfair barbs here and there. But I hope you guys enjoy The Frighteners as much as we obviously did. This is a fun, really high-energy conversation. When we get with Jay, we all start getting amped up, right? We just get excited to talk to each other. So I had a great time doing this episode. I know Alex did the same. Make sure you guys go in the show notes so you can find Jay everywhere he's doing stuff. He actually did an amazing D&D commission for me, so he's a great artist that you should go find all his stuff and support Jay however you can, wherever you can. Thank you guys for supporting us. Without any further ado, The Frighteners with Jay Rollins. All right, everyone, welcome back to the pod. Dear friend Jay Rollins, him of Damn Dirty April. He actually told us he's coming to just claim Japril from now on. He's already branding himself with an entire month of content. Happy to have him back for the October Mega Marathon. Jay, would you like to explain to the people here the movie you picked for this October Mega Marathon and why?
It is The Frighteners. And why? I think whenever I come on here, it's really just something that's like near and dear to my childhood heart. I guess except for The Witch. And The Frighteners is just genuinely, like, as far as like scary movie that you can show your kids, this is the perfect one.
Yeah.
Because it is scary, especially to a kid. But it's just, where you can be family friendly without being childish.
Yeah.
I mean, the jokes are, some of the, like, the sight gags and stuff are child, but it's fun. Yeah. No, it's just a very fun ride. I love that movie.
Yeah, it's awesome to see because when I return to Peter Jackson's, horror beginnings, he just made such fun movies, right?
He was a streetwalker?
But yeah, so like Dead Alive, right? Dead Alive's like a great example of Peter Jackson just going apeshit in a horror movie, right? Like a priest that knows martial arts. Like he just makes great. And this was kind of his step up into a big kind of Hollywood movie, right? But it has all of the fun. It's got a great story. It's got an incredible cast. It's one of those movies I feel like The Frighteners has taken shit as it's gotten older because it was kind of right at that crest of we can do it with CG, but the CG wasn't quite ready. And so there were moments of just abysmal Scorpion King-like CG.
It's fun.
That is the bummer. I mean, make the wall out of rubber. It's easy. Do it.
Yeah, and that's how they remember the movie mostly, right? But there's so much fucking awesome work going on. Like, even that opening scene. This movie just starts at a fucking 11, right? This lady running around the house being dragged through the walls and by carpet. No, it's wrong. The sins of the flesh will ruin her. And Granny's got a shotgun. And you're like, fuck yeah. But, like, when it comes through the door, you're like, oh, are we going to do that shot like 500 times this movie? Of, like, the thing reaching through the CG wall. But I think if you take away that one criticism, right? If you can forgive how bad that part of the movie looks. I mean, this movie's almost impeccable in every other area of kind of storytelling to me.
It's such a shame because the ghosts look great.
The ghosts are fucking awesome.
Yeah.
They're really good.
I mean, except for Busey when he's the Grim Reaper.
The Grim Reaper. Yeah.
And they could have done that cooler if they had just not used CG. I don't know.
Well, like, I mean,
CG wasn't
think of
good.
A movie like Scrooge,
it was 1996.
Right? Yeah. Scrooge had a giant Grim Reaper that was amazing. It was practical. Yeah. He wasn't jumping down hills and on top of cars, but they could have fucking mixed and matched a little more, right? Yeah. But the idea of the Grim Reaper is still pretty cool. The ghosts are real, but just the basic setup. And Michael J. Fox, man, just fucking crushes this movie.
He's so good, dude.
Because the weird thing is, he comes at it a lot more dramatic, right?
Yeah. He's just so... I think we forget because he was Marty McFly so quickly that he's done other movies. He's good in most of the things he's done. Like, I mean, again, I don't have a problem with, like, any of the movies he's made because... and then when we were kids, we watched him all the time because it's like, holy shit, it's Marty McFly. But like, he's so good in this movie because he's doing it straight. Like if he was doing like a wink and nod camera bit the whole time, and he does some of that too, but it's not bad because he's doing it as a fucking dramatic beat. Like it's really good.
It's not a wink and a nod. It's an ain't I a stinker. Like he knows who he is. The character knows who he is. He's having a great time. He genuinely could just be a medium because he fucking is. And he's just like, no, man, I want to scam people. That'd be fucking.
It was great.
Yeah, it's a kind of awesome because it's almost like it's closer to Humphrey Bogart. You know what I mean? Like it's just kind of this low key detective who's like, life's fucking giving me shit, and now I'm eking it out wherever I can. But I love though, just the opening of him running into the funeral. Right, he's handing out fucking business cards. He runs the guy's fence over. Here's a business card, right? Smashing the gnome. So he has this, he's got this, he's definitely, it's a fuck you to everyone in the town. we find out later because they all fucking thought he was a murderer, right? He's kind of ousted from society a little bit. But I love like the opening bit of him coming back, and all of a sudden the doc and her husband are in bed. Just this fucking hilarious scene of the doc being a Barbie style Ken, right? Just shushing her and like they're watching tapes of murder or whatever. And then all of a sudden everything goes apeshit, right? Their little Elvis thing is floating, so you're like, they know when to hit the comedy, right? He's trying to kill the doll with a fluffy pillow. It's really good. We'll come to find out that Michael J. Fox has this cadre of ghosts or spirits, right? Not quite ghosts, not quite poltergeists, but these unresting spirits.
They're like trapped spirits.
Because he ran this guy's fence over and doesn't want to pay for it, he's like, hey, go fuck their shit up and I'll come in with a toaster and a squirt gun and we'll fucking run a deal on them.
His scam is really, he's not good at it because it's just very strange to have ghosts in your house. Like crazy shit is clearly happening. And then a card that wasn't given to you is there of a guy who can help.
When the fucking floating babies have it in their like little.
Yeah, that would be the time like, this seems like a setup. I'm going to call him because I don't know what else to do. But this seems like a setup.
Right.
And what I'm saying is, it works every time, even though it's a stupid scam because your shit is flying all over the place.
Yeah, because this isn't like a fucking boardwalk seance. There's real ghosts fucking
and I don't know
your
what
shit
to do.
Yeah,
exactly. I get it. I've been there. You know, when you're in shock, you don't know what you're doing, and you just say the stupidest shit.
Yeah. No, but that's what I mean. It's cool because it is a con, but then it is real, and then we layer on top of that there's another fucking real paranormal event happening.
Yeah.
So it's just this really fucking streamlined entry point into the story, right? Because it starts off, and you're like, all right, why is this fucking house possessed? The old lady and her daughter, you're like, there's definitely something really fucking wild going on there.
Yeah, no shit.
So that starts us on our serial killer backstory. But because it's a con, but it's real, right? I thought that was a really cool turn the first time I saw the movie. Because when the ghosts start coming out of the car, you're like, oh my God, he did actually fucking catch Ghost.
Yeah.
That's bizarre. And then when they're all buddies, right? They come in and there's like the judge and they're all shit talking. Like they're like an 80s sitcom group, right? They're like, these unlikely friends all live in a fucking studio. Or whatever, you know? I was like, oh, this is fucking righteous. Like, I fucking dug it.
I love the whole backstory of it's honestly, if you could find something wrong with it, then by all means. But I think that the mythology of how all this works is 100% airtight. Even the silly shit, okay, for instance, what Busey turns into the Grim Reaper. He could transform himself into the Grim Reaper, but which seems strange. Nobody else is doing that. But R. Lee Ermey transformed himself into a guy with a bunch of guns in what seems like a throwaway gag, which is a throwaway gag.
Yeah, but
it comes back later. Ghosts are able to do that. They're able to transform their ectoplasm if they feel like it.
He turns himself into a Weird Al in UHF with all the guns and shit. The thing is, though, and also Busey, they set up specifically that he was somehow brought back to this plane because she still holds his ashes. Oh, so something is happening with the ashes.
The Ouija boards.
That's right.
The Ouija boards.
So she brought him back from hell, and he took that scythe from hell, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so he has some kind of extra ability because he's fucking up all the normal phantoms that we see.
Yeah.
I thought that was a fascinating, throwaway at the end for, Walt to be like, oh, we found a bunch of Ouija boards. I'm like, we weren't going to talk about that. It's bad detective work, guys. Bad detective work.
Well, so it's like, dude, we've been in her house really 5 times. I didn't see a Ouija board.
No,
we found a utility knife. We didn't find any fucking.
That was the thing. We found so many other things. I'm like, there wasn't stacks of Ouija boards. We ran all over that fucking house. So tell me we didn't find a single one.
No, her mom's sweeping them under the rug, literally. The rugs that fucking move and get their heads blown off.
I like that, Gomer Pyle. Not Gomer Pyle.
I love that guy.
Yeah, the cop. He's just so he believes in all this stuff, and he has from the beginning of the movie because he's just like, say, Frank, some strange stuff is going on. What do you think it is? If Frank was actually gave a shit and wasn't conning people, they could have a nice little sitcom going together, the two of them.
So that actor is Troy Evans, right? Just a great character actor who pops up in all kinds of shit.
I know him from something. No, I do not.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. He's in Halloween 5.
That's what I know him from.
Right? He's in Teen Wolf. He's in a million things. He's in Lawnmower Man. He's in Near Dark. Like, he's just one of those guys. He pops up in, like, fucking tons of movies. Well, he was an actor in 53 movies. But if you go through his list, he's in Demolition Man. He was in Twin Peaks. He was Fear, Loathing in Las Vegas.
Demolition Man,
probably.
He's got a great fucking... But he's just always pops up as, like, that goofy, like, normal town guy who got in a position of authority but can't fucking deal with whatever's in front of him.
I think what's interesting about this movie is that all of the like elements of a plucky sitcom seem to like emerge, and at every pass they are ignored in favor of like the movie moving forward, because you could get stuck in one of those, just like you could get stuck in a situation where you just, oh yeah, it's like the cops in on it and they all know what's going on and they're all just after these guys, and like it is so singularly Michael J. Fox on this hunt. Well, I mean, you know, obviously Lucy as well, but at a certain point. But like, it's so singularly about Michael J. Fox's work and his movement through this world that they never veer off those. Even with the fact that the ghosts are like in his little gang, that never hampers like any sort of like storytelling method to go forward in this movie. It's really fascinating because there's so many like dark alleys to take down, and never happens. Like, we're like straight ahead towards the plot.
And Peter Jackson just knows what he's doing, because just like I said, even the silly stuff comes back later. Like they need to set up those machine guns so that he can.
Well, it's wild because I remember when he got Lord of the Rings, and like nerds knew like what Lord of the Rings were. Like, oh fuck, they're doing that. I remember we took a high school field trip to see this fucking stupid ass movie. It was like a Cuban Crisis movie with like all these people doing weird like JFK accents. And it's like, they're going to blow us up. We're going to blow them up. And then nothing happens for the whole movie. And my history teacher's like, this is important. We're like, all right, fucking. It was a boring, stupid, like 7 days.
We will blow them up.
Yeah, it was just this movie that like as teenagers were like, dude, we just saw The Matrix, dude. You got to come harder than this. But the preview for the first Lord of the Rings came out. And we're like, oh my God. So we ran home, and this was back when you would try to like find magazines to fucking learn about this shit.
Yep.
Because the internet was still pretty basic and dial-up out in the country. But I remember, and I was like, Peter Jackson. I was like, where do I know that guy from? And it was the fucking Frighteners. And I was like, the guy who made the Frighteners? Because I remembered it a little more cartoony as a young guy. It was kind of like the Looney Tunes horror movie. And I was like, that guy's making Lord of the Rings, right? And lo and behold, he made one of the greatest, if not the greatest fucking series of movies ever made. We've had that debate during Damn Dirty April. You can go back and check that out. But it is there, because this is the thing, right? You could get stuck in the start of that movie where he's the doofy guy hitting a funeral, driving over the cliffs, which is a weird choice once we see the end of the movie. It's like maybe he would care a little more about how he drives. Maybe he's trying to fucking die and kill someone else at the start of the movie. Whatever. And then the kitschy, like, now he's in a new house. They're finding new ways to do hauntings and get some fucking scam money. But they layer on this really fucking intense serial killer story. And like a great example of this movie to me where it's kind of doing both things really well is when the douche husband dies, right? As he saw a number on his head and now all of a sudden he's dead. He catches him in the town square.
Ray. I love Ray.
Ray, yeah. And then Michael J. Fox is like explaining the rules to him. And he's like, let me catch a ride to my funeral, right? So then we see Arlie Ermey's character kind of like, you're a scumbag, right? We see all the ghosts in the cemetery that are like lost souls. But that moment where that dude's watching his own funeral and he falls in the grave and the casket gets lowered on top of him and he kind of pops up and he's staring at his own dead body, right? I was like, this scene is kind of working on so many levels, right? It's just, it's a great fucking horror scene. Like we all have that. We've all had that thought. Even if we're not suicidal, we all imagine like, I wonder how this person specifically will react if I die. Like, I would love to see them at my funeral. I'm like, are they, like, going to talk shit? They're going to try to bang my wife and father my kids? Like, like, I want to know. What are they really going to say about me once I'm not able to come to their house and fucking punch them in the face? And, like,
fair question.
So it's scary, but it's funny because Ray's just really fucking funny in this movie, right? And you're setting up the furtherance, like, why are you the last one he saw? So it's just, it is this really fucking hard to maintain balance of being light and entertaining, But if you really like sit and think about what's happening, you're like, fuck, that is horrifying. Like that would be a horrifying experience.
Yeah, and Ray reacts.
Yeah.
Ray is in Ghost.
Yeah.
Ray thinks he's in Ghost.
Ray thinks he's going home to fucking finger blast his wife later.
Yeah. Ray has come from the Ghost. Ray has come from the movie Ghost to be in the Frighteners, which is great.
Yeah.
And he's got this, you know, he's got the Otome talking to his girlfriend situation where he's like, but he's what this douchebag would say. He's like, as soon as I get back on my feet and figure out what I can do, then we'll be together again. Like he just does not accept any of this shit.
I love it.
Yeah. And then his wife's just flaming because he lost the $16,000 on an investment. I was like, this is good. But then he knocks the little wine glass over. He's like, I can move shit now. Watch your back. And he like runs out of the restaurant. I was like, Ray's fucking killing it in this movie. I love it.
Ray knows what's up.
But then they even give Ray like a mildly heroic moment at the end. Where he's like, I will defend this one. Because he's clearly stalking her. It's like, wait, why were you in her car, motherfucker? Like, he's stalking around his ex-wife. Like, I'm going to fucking win her back from the other side. But then when given the chance, he fucking stands between her and Busey and gets his fucking face ripped off and thrown on the fucking hood like he's an Egger suit. And I was like, all right, that fucking...
You know what?
That's what I mean.
Wish
funny.
We could have seen Ray in heaven. That wasn't fair.
Do we think Ray was going to heaven, or was Ray getting
we all know Ray
sent
probably
down
went
the
somewhere
tentacle
else.
dick shaft to hell?
You know what? Actually, that would have been funny too. Like tentacle dick shaft.
Yeah.
They get sucked down, and then we just hear Ray's voice. Who the hell are you?
Oh shit!
I do cardio every day, bro. Yeah, Ray's going to hell.
It was only $16,000. No,
you look like the guy from my wife's tape she just rented.
Yeah, what investment was that? Because that's why I was like, what did he invest in? Like a series of rub and tug parlors?
I'm gonna
like
go
a
with
secret back alley poker cocaine room. Like Ray was doing no.
I'm gonna go with vitamins. That seems like a Ray scam.
Surely he was the first Joe Rogan.
Yeah. Listen, this was not an investment. Somebody set him up with a pyramid scheme, and he fucked up. That's what happened.
That doesn't mean he go to hell. But
he was one of those. He was one of those early MLM guys.
Yeah,
for sure, definitely.
He probably was a LuLaRoe person. That's what he was selling. He was selling Spanx or whatever they have.
I think Ray's going to hell. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not.
Ray went to hell
because there's also I was like Michael J. Fox gets to go to heaven.
You know how?
I was like, I don't know.
I mean, you know how Ray went to hell was because the movie ended with him and with Michael J. Fox and his wife getting down. You're like, Ray definitely went to hell.
Yeah. Well, I like the part at the end. She's like, "Go, be happy," and I was like, "Are we just forgetting the part that Michael J. Fox got so grumpy with her that he fucking made his wife fly through the fucking windshield, probably snap neck, crushed face, whatever." So like he mostly killed her before they fucking carved the number on her head.
I think that they gave him a pass because the haircut from the past. Because that was like that was like pure 90s.
He had that Robert Redford wig on. Yeah. No, I mean Michael J. Fox. I don't think is going to heaven either. I think that's why his buddies are like, and he's been absconding with these fucking spirits and making them do his fucking bidding.
Maybe they're
like,
the
reason. The judge is like, my ectoplasm's dried up, and he's like, nope, you have a fucking job, you have a contract. He has indentured servants.
Yeah, maybe right. So he George Washington's his way through this thing. Yeah. But my thought is maybe they're the reason he got to go to heaven, and then they're like, go back down and do good with your life, and maybe you can actually get in here, or you'll get dick monstered. We'll see.
He did that thing where he sacrificed himself for others, and so like he gets a heaven pass. That's I
mean, that's an interesting thing though. Like, do you if you do like a single sacrifice, it's not cumulative, right? You can do a single sacrifice and get out of it.
That was the old Simpsons joke where Bart Simpson, like the preacher's like, Bart, we got to get you on the right track. He's like, no, I'm going to go for the life of sin and then the deathbed redemption. Right? And I was like, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
There's also just this basic question that anytime a movie does this, I'm like, the audacity of not thinking that out. It's like, well, if God can fucking like intervene and do this right now, like maybe he should have just fucking stopped the 55 people from dying of heart attacks. Well, like God probably could have squashed Busey before, so maybe God can't be so fucking judgy. Like we
know God is an asshole, but all we know is that Bartlett and his girlfriend go to hell. We don't know how many people can get in. Maybe almost everybody gets into heaven, and then if you're Busey in this movie, you definitely go to hell.
If they made a Netflix special or a VHS special, especially. That's a VHS true crime story. That was not the genre back then.
That's really cool. Actually, that's really cool. It was probably a documentary series that was like
she had to buy that from
some
guy out of the back of his trunk. That's the kind of VHS that was. But no, like we just watch with my kids, right? Like just because they're in a huge like Jim Carrey and Adam Sandler phase,
right?
And so my kids like we want to watch Bruce Almighty. I was like, all right, man, I saw that in theater. I remember it being pretty fun. Like you'll like it. If you go back and watch that movie, that's one of the most fucking insane stories ever committed to film.
Yes.
Right? That God is so invested in this fucking newscaster from fucking Buffalo, New York, right? That he's so invested in him that God's like, I'll take a week off and let you literally he fucking kills tons of people in the third world country because he wants to make the moon bigger so he can fuck Jennifer Aniston. Right? Like God's just like willing to let Armageddon happen just so this guy can like appreciate being a lesser news anchor. Like he's just like, Bruce, you need to understand your lot in life. So I'm going to let you fucking murder an entire village in India. And it's like, what the fuck is happening?
No, in these movies, God is bored. Wouldn't you be bored? And just fuck with your toys every once in a while?
Right. But this is the thing. It's like, you made all this and you're omnipotent. So you knew this was how it was going to go down. So there's an inherent God as the fucking scythe that Gary Busey's or Jake Busey's killed. Buttered sausage. Let's talk about butter sausage. Get it away from me. What's it do?
Dude.
I love that Busey popped back up on the internet. That is one of my favorites, and this will come out like a month after that was out. But
wait, what's the butter sausage? What are we talking
Gary
about?
Busey was on an interview, or what was left of Gary Busey, right? He's sitting there all puffed up. His eyeballs are huge, and the guy's like, "Hey, let's talk about this this award that you're up for." He goes, Let's talk about buttered sausage. Yeah, he's like, what? He's like, what is it?
Boy.
He goes, let's talk about buttered sausage. What is it? Why is it? Why is butter sausage? Get it away from me. And the guy goes, that's not your jam. He goes, I don't like jam. I buy honey. I put honey on things. And it's like, what the fuck?
It was like the scarier, it was the scarier, crazier version of that Dick Tracy shit that Warren Beatty did like about a year ago now.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, the Dick Tracy thing is genius.
You're just looking at it and you're like,
that, right? So he retains the right.
Oh yeah, no, I know why he does it.
Awesome.
He's waiting for the big payday when people start giving a fuck about Dick Tracy after 200 years.
It was one of those. It was one of those things where you just watch. It was between that, but then like Gary Busey, you're just like, oh man. It is one of those things where you're like, oh, no one's in the house and no one's like stopping him. No one's like, Gary, what are you? Oh my god.
Did any of us not think this was Gary Busey's final form? Was just a weird guy with his eyes popping out of his head, just saying weird faux philosophical things. Let's talk about buttered sausage. I hear that line in my head every time you're at a bar. You have that friend, and he's like, "Hey, remember this thing that happened to us in college?" And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, we've done this story 85 times." That's the thing in my head now. Is every time someone's like, "Hey, remember when?" and I just go, "Let's talk about buttered sausage."
If I'm being honest, the fact that I thought Gary Busey's final form would actually be the Ghost Rider skull. So the fact that hasn't happened is shocking.
Do you think Jake visits him? Or is he trying to live his life?
I fucking hope so, dude. I really do, because he needs some sort of person in his life to be like, are you okay?
Yeah.
Obviously not.
I mean, he cursed him
evolutionary
with that
Gary.
Is he gonna...
Yeah, he was never as good of an actor, but he just came out like formed like a fucking shark.
Yeah.
Right? Like we were talking about this in Contact. It's like you put Jake Busey in anything and it's just like an immediate like he's the bad guy. He's the fucking bad guy. He looks like a bad guy. He's great at that role. Like him when the doctor's like, "Hey, moron," he turns around and he's smiling.
Guess you're number one.
Was he
and you're just like,
wearing Hey, was he wearing contacts? Because I don't think his eyes really that steely blue.
I don't know.
Well,
that was shocking.
Let's talk about eye color. Let's talk about it. Get it away from me. Why?
It's the flashback scene, and so everything is hued a little bit orange, except for his eyes, which are notched up blue. So yeah,
maybe that's what it is. Okay.
Yeah, that was the innocent blue eyes before he became this fucking savage.
Yeah, and back in the 60s, anybody who was blonde and tall, they'd be like, "Well, he was a football star. He was a good boy. I don't understand how anything
he's a little
like
Hitlery.
Tex Watson." So, like, what I want to get into is like the combination of true crime shit that they put together in this, where she gets to be like one of the Manson girls.
Yeah.
But also they're doing Starkweather, or the other guy, the guy who did actually shoot up, like kill a bunch of nurses because, like after Starkweather did, I don't know, but they're shoving a bunch of stories together. And And I love it because it's like culturally we're familiar with all this shit.
I think it's more relevant now
when we find out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is baffling because he even starts mentioning, at first he's like, I got to get more than this one guy. And then at the end he's like, now we're chasing Gacy and Bundy. Yeah. So there is this like early like how we're obsessed with.
And I love when he says that Gacy's going to be so jealous when he gets back to hell. He's not even expecting to stay on Earth. He's like, he likes it down there. He's like, I'm going to tell Gacy that I got his number.
Once I get tentacled back down to hell, I can't wait. It is cool though. I thought that was done really well because her mom in that fucking creepy mansion, right? Like when fucking Ray sees that the whole place is like an open like fucking hellmouth. When her mom is so over the top in every scene. Like she's bringing full on like Gary Busey now level energies to this thing.
She's
and
like,
you're just like, why is she fucking so over the top?
She's like Norman Bates think
she's
doing
gonna
his
be
mother
like an insane bad person.
Level of over the top.
Is she cat head lady from Monster Squad?
Is she?
Oh, what?
Now that you're saying it, it could be. I don't want to be that guy that says all old white ladies look alike, but it could be.
Yeah, you got to be careful, Griff. You already lost one bet to me this week. Hang on, I'll find out real quick.
Fuck up, you fucking sack of shit. All tall, blonde, white guys do look alike. No, neither here nor there. But yeah, she's just going nuts. But I thought that reveal at the end, right, when she's like, "We'll get you out of this house," right? She finds the fucking X-Acto knife or the fucking utility knife in the closet. But when she's talking to Dee Wallace, right, and all of a sudden she is like holding Jake Busey's hand, and like she notices that. I thought that scene was fucking righteous.
Yeah.
And once Dee Wallace becomes fucking unhinged, I thought that was a really cool story. And I wasn't expecting them to take us back because for some reason, once he gets to the hospital, he starts because we set up this flashback device, right, where we can see what happened to him and his wife, right?
Oh, that's really
when they're laying out that Michael J. Fox might have been a bad guy the whole time, right? So we set up this flashback device. When they get in the hospital, I was not expecting them to stop what we were doing to show us the crime spree. But I thought it actually paid dividends.
That was really cool, actually.
Yeah,
I liked
really
the
liked it.
back and forth. That was really awesome.
Yeah, there's like a real like, because this is the thing, it's kind of like a cartoony ghost story. And that's when we're like, now we're doing like some hard hitting, like, oh my God. You know, like it just has that like Zodiac matter of fact violence that's really punctuating.
Yeah. When he's hiding under the bed, that I was like, dude, this shit is harsh, man. This is going to be awesome.
Well, and then I get a little scared for him because we're in the flashback and I know that he is actually under a blanket.
Yeah.
But he doesn't look like he's under a blanket. And he's in danger. She's right there, but he sees the flashback. He's in complete danger because he doesn't even know where she is.
That is a particularly well cut together sequence. I thought that was so fucking cool, man.
Yeah, also, and you get to see like her and like 15-year-old her and Busey like almost dancing around. Like there's this celebratory nature to it. It's
real Manson family.
It's
real Manson family real quick.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you go back to the first scene, knowing what's going on, it's Bartlett and Lucy playing little sex games, pretending, oh no, are you gonna hurt me? And then mom just being like, you sick fucks, this is over.
Yeah, because I had that thought too. I haven't gone back and watched it. I watched it to get ready for this, but I was like, what the fuck was happening in that first scene? I was like, is he just coming out of the wall and like, she's just backing it up on the wall?
Yeah.
Like Sir Mix-a-Lot said, put it on the glass. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, I think he's like, it's like, he's like, she's like squeezing her butt on the glass so that he'd be like, whoa, cool.
Jesus. Well, we know that you can shape ectoplasm now, specifically from the movie.
Yeah, so.
My God.
I like how the ectoplasm thing worked. I like how ghosts work in this world. Because, so I can't remember exactly what he says, but a plasmic bioform, which means that they are, in a way, alive with physical shit. Like when you die, there's a physical thing that forms that has a body, more or less.
They also has a finite limit.
Yes, after 100 years, all your shit dries up, and then you go wherever you go. You're always going to go on to the next plane, but
I kind of like that. That gives you like a stay of execution to become a better person. after death, you know? That's good.
Well, kind of, until the judge is like, I'm going to fuck that mummy, and then pops his head up and says, I like it when they don't move. I was like,
that guy
he literally says, I like
it
when they don't move. So I'm like, he fucking squirted some juice on a mummy.
That guy used the last of his ectoplasm and is definitely
There's a shot where we see his ass coming up and down out of the sarcophagus.
Oh, yeah, that gets crazy. And
I was like, oh, the judge is not this fucking heroic, old-timey hero that we thought he was.
No, he's a fucking freak.
He just happened to be there that night, and he's like, oh, I was here to fuck some mummies, but all right, I guess I'll do this too.
The judge is on Earth because he knows he's dodging something far worse in the afterlife. He's like, I'm just going to fucking clap it while I'm here, baby.
Yep.
He's the hanging judge. I bet he...
Well, he even says, they called me the hanging judge for many reasons.
Yeah.
So essentially saying he has a huge ghost dong that he's going to use on this mummy.
Also, that is my favorite.
That is a fucking fastball that I did not expect.
Also, the judge is my favorite makeup in the movie. That is fucking cool, dude.
I like the ghost dog. That was really cool, I thought.
Ghost dog's also really good, yeah.
Because it puts us in the same multiverse with All Dogs Go to Heaven now, I guess.
There you go.
Where it's like, it is possible. It is possible.
Oh, yeah. It's like that Twilight Zone episode where, like, a man and his dog. I won't go to heaven without my dog.
Yeah. Well, for me, it wouldn't be heaven without dogs, but it also wouldn't be heaven if the people I know that go to church all the time are there. So there's a lot of paradoxes in heaven.
Yeah.
But what I know is that you have to have dogs.
Heaven's very paradoxical.
Yeah. Like those people that are outside, like boycotting, like, football games on Sunday. Like, if they're there, heaven's going to be lame, like here. But if my dogs aren't up there, like, I like the idea of going to heaven. Not that I'm going to get in, but I like the idea of like all of my dogs from my childhood, like, and me living in a house, and I just get to play with all of my dogs for all time.
Yeah, heaven's very paradoxical in that you're like, oh, you're here. Like, you still have to judge the place for letting people in.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's kind of like, I don't know. It's like Dave Matthews people. Where like maybe I do just want to hear people practice music for 2 hours in unstructured song format, and then I have to sit by Dave Matthews fans.
I like Heaven in this movie too because it's just like I get laid and I have cigars because that's what I like.
The nerd came up here and he's just fucking getting it wet.
The nerd came up and is just absolutely slaying. Just like, we got up here.
That's a nod to Peter Jackson saying, I know exactly who my demographic is in this movie.
Right.
And then Bargain Bin, like fucking redheaded Katharine Hepburn, she gets to go to heaven as well. And she's... Is this how it felt when you hurt your wife, Battlestar? But like, she's being mean to somebody who just murdered her, as far as she knows.
The best.
Also, legitimately, Michael J.
Fox being
sucked
up to heaven. I think most people go to heaven. I think that's just how it works.
I don't think there's any evidence she was a bad lady. She wrote a piece exposing him as a con man, which he is.
Yes.
And then she says another guy died around him. She's doing her Lois Lane thing where she's like, I think there's a scoop here. And Michael J. Fox responds by punching her in the face.
She punched him in the face. He punched her in the fucking face.
He has no plan. Yeah. He has no plan. What is your plan to save her?
We, the audience, think that he's trying to help her. But everyone else watching, the cops are just opening up fire and he's knocking a woman out.
My favorite thing is
he's never going to be allowed back in society in this town.
Yeah.
How much the incompetency of the police is in this movie. They really do start shooting early.
Yeah.
In a big crowd of people. Also, the incompetency of the FBI, Jeffrey Combs.
Okay, we have to pause here.
Dozer from The Matrix just starts shooting.
By light years.
Holy shit.
The greatest thing in this movie. He is 1,000 times the best thing in this movie. He is the cult icon of this movie.
Jeffrey Combs always knows what project he's in.
He knows. He knew the assignment.
Yes.
He didn't even have to ask.
I tried not to say that because I hate when people say that.
We say it all the time on this show, man.
Let Alex dive on that one.
Yeah, let me die on this ectoplasmic
let
sword.
The Gen Zs come to this program.
It's a perfect performance from him.
Oh my God.
Like, he's so good.
Let's break it down a little bit because I'll break it down, John. Okay, because he's been in the occult world as long as he has, long enough to get tattooed and scarred. He does believe in psychic powers.
Yeah.
But, even though he's a nut, if you live in a life And psychic powers are real because in this movie they are. So I don't know what he's seen. And given he's actually not. I mean, I know he's crazy, but like, given the evidence that he's seen, and having lived in a world where he knows certain psychic powers are available, he thinks that this man is psychically crushing people's hearts.
Yeah.
It's reasonable, but it's so bizarre. How do you even explain that? How do you put that in paperwork?
He's like one of the people who's been pursuing the lament configuration forever, and like has never found it though. He's just like not cool enough.
He's Uncle like, Frank in Hellraiser with no sex.
There it is. That's because
the first time, she starts screaming at him, and he just runs to the other room to puke. Ooh, I was like, I love every fucking choice there. And he's like looking in the room, like talking. They're like, come in the room. He's like, no. I was like,
that
the
moment,
first scene, I was like, they fucking nailed exactly
what's
going
on. I was like, this is perfect.
I love when it's just like every little tiny thing that he does in this movie is perfect.
Fucking good.
Right. Well, the scene is when he's interrogating Michael J. Fox, and he's like, by the power of the President of the United States, get the fuck out of this interrogation room.
Yes.
And then they get real, like, Sam Raimi Dutch, like Peter Jackson does a lot of that too, right? These kind of strange Dutch angles. And it's him fucking finally finding some, like, backbone and interrogating the shit out of Michael J. Fox, who also is crushing it in this scene, right? This kind of broken man who's over it. Like, he's out now. He's fallen on the sword. He told, the possible new girlfriend that he was full of shit. And he's just, like, fucking losing his mind. While Jeffrey Combs is just fucking also losing his mind, ripping his shirt off. I have a breastplate that'll protect my heart. Let's go.
Breastplate.
And I was just like, I would just watch. I would watch a one-man show of just those two doing that for an hour, right? Like it's the Pillow Man or something. Like, just do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this movie, what is so enjoyable about it is this is why I think it's so good for kids because, I saw this when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I was genuinely distressed, not by all the scars on him, that freaked me out a little bit, but the weird breastplate actually did freak me out. It looked like, bondagey, but like it scared me a little bit as a kid.
Like he may have had that on before, just
a little bit of diet Hellraiser.
Yeah, but then it does its Looney Tunes moments at the exact right times when his head blows off and there's a little ghost head. Is
fucking
the
awesome.
best.
One of the all-time greatest moments in any horror movie ever. It's such a fucking amazing moment.
Awesome.
I mean, that's become like the scene that everyone remembers. It's so fucking good.
Is it really?
So yeah, that's like the scene of this movie that everyone like on every countdown where they list the Frighteners. That's the fucking image they use.
I still it's so funny you bring up that Katharine Hepburn thing because honestly, I could not stop laughing last night. Like on her way to heaven, just screaming. I'm like, "Fuck you! I know you fucking murder people. Fuck you!"
Did it feel good to kill me, Bannister? Did it feel good to kill your wife?
She's storming into God's office, Karen style, immediately.
I thought it was.
We gotta talk.
I thought it was going to be like that. I thought it was going to be like that scene, and this is the end when James Franco gets like cast out of heaven for like telling Danny McBride to fuck himself.
Yeah,
I was like, dude, what if she just gets fucking thrown down? It's like, oh shit. Well, there you go. That's the rules. Like, don't be Tom Petty while you're getting fun up in heaven.
Well, there's also this thing with him because he taps into that thing when you're a young audience, like where we all had that like teacher or principal or Boy Scout leader where you're like, this guy should not be in charge, but he has authority somehow. And other adults have said it's okay for them to be in charge of me, but I feel insanely unsafe right now. And all the time I'm around them. And he taps into that perfectly. But then there's this weird shift where he starts like getting in on like he wants the fucking spirit to be alive, even though he still thinks it's Michael J. Fox.
He's like a third wheel. Well,
yeah, because he dumps out the Busey ashes. And it seems like his logic is you're using this as a cover-up for your fucking crime. So I never knew. I was like, is he helping the occult?
That's what I thought too.
Bad stuff, or
is he? But maybe he's just a hapless
boob. That's where
boob.
I can't figure him out because clearly, maybe in a quote unquote scientific way, like an MK Ultra sort of secret government way. He believes psychic powers are real, but not in an occult way, not in a there actually is life after death sort of way. He believes in scanners, he thinks that people can do that.
Like the X-Files episode where Giovanni Ribisi can fucking cook people.
Yeah.
And Mulder's like, it's just he's lived around a lightning a long time. Like, this is probably a real thing. And everyone's like, what are you talking about? What's going on, Mulder? Come on. Are you okay?
What are you doing?
And so, he's being a dick about it because he is genuinely, I can't believe I'm getting Jeffrey Combs back as a character in this movie because he's a piece of shit. But I feel like he has been, he's Rust Cole. He's been in it for so long.
There you go.
That's true. Enough that he scarred his body. That's how much he cared about stopping the occult and the Satanists or whatever. And so when he says, very bored, let me guess, you need to put the ashes on the altar. It's the only way to save the world. He's been here before.
Yeah.
He knows what the quote unquote rules are. These actually are the rules, but he's heard this shit before and he doesn't care.
Right. He at one point says, but pain is the reward or has its reward. So I'm like, does he want to fucking get some of this power? That's one of those where the movie was doing two storylines and they just don't dovetail perfectly.
It's because they blow off his head before they can.
I mean, that's when you're like, worth it. Totally worth it.
It's like, you know what? I'm glad this ended when it ended.
The last shot of the movie, I was like, totally
cooler.
worth it. I would have loved a sequel where angry ghost Milton's trying to have his revenge.
Yeah.
He's exactly what I was like. He's the great example of what the movie does perfectly, right? He's weird. He's funny. He still has this dark edge to him and can get really fucking intense and take us into that kind of adult horror movie stuff. And then, that amazing finale. I was like, in microcosm, Milton is everything perfect about the Frighteners to me.
Yeah, probably. Makes sense.
All these actors are very specific people. It's everybody can switch from one thing to another. Michael J. Fox's superpower is that he can take a header from a car like nobody's business. He can get the way that he just flails a little bit, but still keeps his composure when he gets hit by that car. I can't help but remember getting hit by the car in Back to the Future where he just nails his head on the concrete.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of the show must go on.
He's got skills.
He's got the superpower of being looking like a guy who's got his shit together, who is also genuinely very good at physical comedy. It is a goddamn shame what happened to his poor body because of that. But
Zemeckis plus J. Fox plus getting hit by a car has been good to cinema.
Well, and then Busey is just his own specific creature and
teeth.
Yes, and Jeffrey Combs, and everybody gets to chew up the scenery in their own specific way.
Yeah,
and it's incredible. And even Andy McDowell. The fake Andy McDowell.
Yeah,
Mary Steenburgen wasn't here. Andy McDowell.
We have Andy McDowell at home.
Yeah, not quite Andy McDowell's. Yeah, for sure.
Mary Steenburgen, Andy McDowell. This chick, she did great. I don't know who she is.
She was good, but she again just not quite Andy McDowell. That's how I would describe her. I've never seen that woman before in my entire life. And I remember when the movie started.
Alvarado.
When the movie started, I was like, "Is that Andy McDowell?" I don't
think was in The Babe.
Certainly looks like
that you've seen.
The what?
Babe.
The Babe, the John Goodman Babe Ruth movie, which is its own series of nightmares.
Okay.
I've seen them.
Yeah, 26 films, probably not a ton of them have you heard. The Old Little Women.
Nope. Oh, okay.
But
who she play?
1994 Little Women.
Is that about the grown-up Little Women?
She plays Meg March, if that means anything to people.
Okay. No, he means the original, not the old.
The 1994.
Old Little Women. I you just get the women again and they're elderly.
I was like, well, we did do grumpy and then grumpier old men, so I mean, why not Little Women then Old Little Women?
Old Little Women. Now that's a sequel I'd watch. You bitch. Give me that blanket back. It's
Give me that blanket. I will write a story about it. Oh, maybe it's just Golden Girls.
If you just want to make a podcast series that nobody will listen to, but you'll have a good time, you just
we already are.
Every
we already do that. It's called Film Alchemist.
But like every Jack Lemmon movie, Jack Lemmon, Walter Matthau movie, because they're all the same movie, but they're great.
I actually can't believe we haven't done The Apartment yet. That's one of my favorite movies.
Holy shit, we haven't done The Apartment.
No.
Wow.
We haven't.
God
but,
damn.
Yeah,
well, we're high cinema here.
It is fucking sad, man.
I do The Odd Couple.
Yeah, we'll do some of that. Dennis the Menace. We'll just go through the dueling filmography.
I think what's awesome about this movie is that every single actor, like Jay was saying, has the ability to do the utmost with their powers of acting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In the same movie. Yeah. No one has to like do anything. Like no one has to dial their shit back a little bit. Everybody's able to do like their 11 of acting essentially without overpowering any other performance.
And Peter Jackson is clearly awesome. A very skilled like conductor of this crazy music.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Dead Alive's another one I just can't believe we haven't got to, but he's like a real maestro of like, how can I keep this thing like redlining the whole fucking time and it not like ruin the movie? But yeah, that was kind of my final takeaway is like, it just has always saddened me that we just didn't get like more Michael J. Fox just crushing and being amazing in movies. And it's, it's awful what happened. Like, I think a lot of us, when he came back in Curbed and he had that amazing scene or those amazing couple episodes with Larry David.
That was big.
It was just fucking great to see him again. I think we forget how fucking huge he was to a lot of, that era of cinema.
I mean, we forget how good he is.
Back to the Future is like impossible to fucking deny.
And he
had such an amazing performance in this.
He kept working, but he started doing Spin City right after this, and we could have had a couple more years of movies out of him.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever read about that? He was in some movie that like 4 or 5 of the crew also had early onset Parkinson's.
Jesus.
Oh, I have heard that. Yeah.
There's some movie he did, and like he's like, I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know if that's the case, but like for some reason, he's like one of 5 people who did this movie who are like, I don't know
which one it was.
Well, yeah, it was just this. It's
Teen Wolf.
Oh Jesus.
I think it was. I think it was Back to the Future Part 3. No.
No, it's one of those like really sad things that this like beset him young, right? Youngish. But like the scene he did with Larry David,
Leo and Me. Movie's called Leo and Me.
Leo and Me. I've never even heard of that. But the funniest thing in that Curbed is when he hands Larry David the Coke,
dude,
and Larry David accuses him of exaggerating Parkinson's to shake it up on him. And I was like, I thought it was just so cool that he had the sense of humor to come out and do something like that.
It was
great to see him again.
I just rewatched that episode recently, and I found like some clip online where they asked like, "How did you get Michael J. Fox?" He's like, "Oh, he was all for it." Like, he is the one person who will have a sense of humor about this because like, what else is there? Like,
if you watch his interviews, he feels very at peace with everything, which is cool. But it is, man. He could have been like, God, just 5 more movies like The Frighteners.
He would have been. I mean,
the man.
I agree. Like, it did make me a little wistful yesterday because you watch it and you're like, man, Michael J. Fox really.
I just don't think we appreciate what he gave. Like, I know we're talking about wanting more. I don't think we appreciate what he gave us enough.
No, I don't think so either.
Even Family Ties is funny when it's a stupid sitcom, but he's very funny in that show.
Very good.
Well, we're probably I'm definitely old enough that like I remember that was like the pillar of like our cultural society at the time was the sitcom, and he was one of the best guys on one of the best sitcoms, and he crushed in that role.
I'll tell you the 2 things that I remember him from, besides like now the Frighteners is like probably besides Frighteners and Back to the Future is one as the voice of Milo Thatch in Atlantis: The Lost Empire, which is like one of those like unsung Disney movies that not a lot of people watch.
Was in their weird experimental phase that they've kind of pushed away.
Yeah, like that was like that because it was like a lot of designs from Mike Mignola, which was really cool. And then the other thing is he was the like press secretary, I think, in The American President, that Aaron Sorkin thing, the Aaron Sorkin movie, and he is just the fact that he was so good at Sorkinese. Like the fact that he was able to do that was awesome.
Oh, I wish he was.
He was so good.
He would have been great.
He was funny.
He would have been so good
witty.
in the West Wing. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, because he had that like he's the cleverest guy in the room.
Forth, yeah.
But
he's the
so
smartest
cool.
guy in the room voice.
Like not condescending, coolest guy in the room. Like Marty McFly is like the pinnacle of like he knows how fucking cool he is, and no one else can see it, but that's okay.
Yeah.
And in this one, I thought his dramatic work in this one, like a guy breaking down and carrying the weight of all this, was fucking awesome.
He has just a great tone of voice. I don't know how else
he's
to describe it.
I bond with him because he's a little cocky and also ain't I a stinker and forgets that he's very short all the time.
Yeah. Never held him back.
Like Tom Cruise, he said, "We're gonna push that down deep."
Yeah,
and run on.
And just run as fast as humanly possible. Yeah.
What was that? He was on some lawyer show where he had post-Parkinson's, where he played a scumbag lawyer, and he did such a good job. He was a scumbag lawyer who had Parkinson's. And like as soon as he got Parkinson's, he would come out on the side of like the prosecution or the defense or whatever scumbag shit he was doing today. And he would, before he spoke, he would do an aside to the jury and just say, I hope everybody doesn't mind, isn't put off by my movements. You see, I have Parkinson's disease, but I still come out here every day for justice. And it's just like, well, fuck, we lost it. Like awesome. That's how he wins his cases. Yeah.
Actually, for those of you who are on our Patreon, we do the Tales from the Crypt miniseries. He directs the first episode of season 3, and he pops in again as the lawyer in that one, just as a cameo. But he directs the episode, and it's really fucking funny.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it's about a guy. Well, Alex, you will have talked about it by the time they hear this.
I was going to say, I'm sure we'll get to it. To be
edit. No, yeah. Don't let them see behind the curtain, Alex. No, but yeah, it's this guy. It's this really funny one about this Italian guy that's like, hey, I should fake my own death and get a bunch of insurance money. And it's just this fucking great episode.
Classic Italians.
Like Michael J. Fox directed it and fucking crushed in that too.
Hey, I'll fake my insurance.
Yeah. This movie to me it has such a special place in my heart. And it's almost become that thing that every time you mention it and people like make fun of it for like the CG.
Who cares?
It almost makes me love it more.
All the CGI sucks in the 90s.
Yeah. It brings it closer into my heart, right? Like I just resaw Jurassic Park in theaters when that came out, and I was like, that's like the exception to the rule. And it still has a couple moments that are not good.
Of course.
But like that shit still holds up and it's insane. But most movies are not Jurassic Park in that department. No. But
most movies are the
this movie, it's almost like the warts on it make it more lovable to me. It's kind of this really fucking amazing sweet spot of kind of horror and comedy that we just don't get right very often. And so yeah, I think it's this really unique, awesome kind of niche movie that I just fucking fall in love with every time I watch it all over again.
Yeah, I think it might be a repeat viewing for me forever now. Now that I know that this is the movie
now
I'm
that you've
supposed to be
seen
watching,
it, you'll go back to it a lot.
Yeah,
check in with this one every so often.
Alex, this is your first run through on this?
It's fucking hilarious.
That's
I thought I had seen this movie like years ago, and I start like from the first frame, I was like, nope, I'm dumb. And like, I don't know what movie I confused this with, but I probably, because it was one of those movies that just showed up on like AMC when I was kids.
Right now.
Oh, Phantoms was the bomb though.
Yeah, no
had
doubt.
to do it.
No
Sorry,
doubt.
Had to do it.
Yeah.
It was just there.
No, he was the bomb in Phantoms.
Nobody when we cover, that's Jay's big idea for when he comes back is doing the entire View Askew universe.
Yes, and like, okay, so Patreon shit, watching the cartoon, you could do so much.
I'm down for all that.
Just do it. I'm down for all that.
If there's anything that our listeners know, it's that we like to put out episodes all the fucking time.
If there's one thing that we're good at on this podcast, it's putting out episodes.
And I didn't watch Clerks 3, and I hear
that was an interesting it's an interesting note just to those of us that have been his huge fans. Like, that's not a movie you can just walk in and probably watch and appreciate. But if you've been with him this whole fucking time, like all of us who grew up and were Kevin Smith kids, I think there's something in there for us that's really cool.
I'd really like to meet people who go into only the third movies and trilogies and be like, I don't get any of this.
Well, this is not proper. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know your feelings.
What is this storytelling?
I know your feelings on the MCU or whatever, but that was what always got me with like, yeah, I went to the movies and saw Avengers Endgame, and like, it didn't make any sense. That movie was fucking stupid. I was like, did you watch the 22 movies before that?
Did you do the fucking
then you're
long
not
ass homework?
Yeah. Did you do the work?
Away.
Did you watch the 5 Disney Plus shows that you could get something out of Eternals? No? Well, fucking come at me later.
No, man. Endgame was the last movie, and irregardless.
Yeah, I took that as literal biblical fact that was the end of the game.
Great. That was the end of the game. Good. That was a good game. Thanks.
No. But then they came out with the fucking Guardians movie that I actually liked on part 3. Like, go figure. How the fuck is that
sweet.
Good.
I didn't really love the movie, but I loved all the rocket shit so much that you're like, yeah, this is great.
This is very sweet.
Oh, man.
Yeah. The rocket stuff might be the rocket stuff in that movie might be the best thing that Marvel ever put out.
I actually might want to see if you hate yourself enough to do an MCU podcast with me.
We have been talking about this one
eventually
for years.
because like we redid the prequels eventually. Like that was like a big hill for us, and eventually like we'll redo the prequels. We'll rewatch it.
And I swear, if you have YouTube episodes if you have like the YouTube video version of it, and it's called like My Friend Hates the MCU and Watched It. I swear to God, everybody will.
Yeah, we're trying to get those fucking hate watches over here. Yeah, bring your hatred to me. Yeah, man, we got.
That's Griffey.
Jay always has an ambitious recording slate, and that's why we love you, Jay.
The best shows.
I love yous too.
Yeah, so we'll have Jay back for sure. We'll come up with his busy schedule. We'll slot him in.
Finally got a microphone because I listened to all the April episode, Damn Dirty April.
I noticed that, and I was very
Like
impressed.
goddamn, I'm shouting through a tin can, so I didn't want to let that happen again.
You sound like some bald guy underground worshiping an atomic bomb.
Yeah, Jay's got big Planet of the Apes 2 energy. That's fine. Where can the people find your stuff, Jay? Let them know.
Jay Rollins are everywhere. And I'm doing a convention, but it's the future for you guys, so it already happened. So about that.
Wait, when's the convention?
Next week. It's September 8th, 9th, 10th.
So when you hear this at the end of October,
but if it's 2024 and you're at C2E2 and you're listening to old episodes.
Ooh.
Go to C2E2. You'll find me at C2E2 and you'll find me at Baltimore Comic-Con. Done.
There you go.
Boom. Yeah.
Perfect.
Artist Supreme, Jay Rollins. Thank you for joining us again for the October Mega Marathon. Thank you guys for spending another day of horror movies with us. As always, man, 31 days, 31 pods. We'll see you tomorrow with another hopefully amazing episode. Hopefully, fingers crossed, amazing episode.